Hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day. It is now 12 hours in Guyana, and you're listening to The Radio with a Difference. I'm Kevin Smith with your news at noon. It is now more than 3 years since a British firm, IHS Markit, is yet to complete an audit of $1.6 billion in expenses for the oil-rich Stabroek Block. Those costs were incurred during the period 1999 to 2017 by ExxonMobil Corporation's subsidiary, Esso Exploration and Production Ghana Limited. Confirming the status of the audit was Commissioner General of the Guyana Revenue Authority, Godfrey Stacia. His clarification came on the heels of 2 articles on IHS Markit's report that it provided to the PPP regime. The report comprehensively and clearly outlined that there were some $214 million in costs that could be contested by the state authorities. GRA's boss did not denounce these figures as inaccurate. He did note, however, that IHS report, as is being quoted, is not the final document, adding that government is now at the stage of awaiting feedback from Exxon's subsidiary. He also did not provide a timeline for when this process would be completed. Stacia also noted that the government will make the report public at the appropriate time. And Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has confirmed that there will be no extension of time for stakeholders to review the provisions of the draft model production sharing agreements for the deepwater and shallow water oil blocks. The chief policymaker for the nation's oil sector said 14 days to review the document is enough time. Since the release of the documents on March 14th last, the political opposition called for there to be an extension of the timeline for review, adding that it should be sent to the National Assembly for debate. Since making those calls, however, it has not said publicly what it agrees or disagrees with in the draft documents. It has also not offered an alternative to what it believes ought to be addressed in such agreements. Be that as it may, Kaieteur on March 15th published an extensive review highlighting some of the key features of both documents. And since the release of the documents on March 14th last, And moving on, a Guyanese businessman working at Eteringbang Kaieteur River, Region 7, is alleging that he narrowly escaped being riddled with bullets after members of the Venezuelan National Guard recently opened fire on his boat. The man had reported the incident to authorities in San Martin, a Venezuelan village located opposite Eteringbang. Those in charge of San Martin confirmed that the alleged shooting took place in February at the vicinity of Wanamu, Kaieteur River. We understand that the businessman had failed to stop at a checkpoint manned by the National Guard, which caused them to open fire on him. The businessman, however, explained that he was returning to Eteringbang at the time with an empty boat and was nowhere close to his base. He admitted that he saw the Venezuelan lawmen signaling him to stop, but like most Guyanese in the area, he did not adhere for fear of being fleeced by the Venezuelan lawmen. It is understood that due to the economic crisis in the country, the Venezuelan armed forces have begun to act just like the gangs in the area, stopping Guyanese businessmen and demanding cash and goods. And now let's tell you, scores of citizens on Wednesday took to the streets to protest the Guyana government's poor management of the local petroleum industry. The picket activity was held outside the office of the President of St. Road, Georgetown, and was organized by non-governmental organization Red Thread. It was the second such activity hosted by the organization, demanding full liability coverage be put in place to secure the oil and gas activities in the Stabroek Block, operated by Esso. One of the representatives from the organization, Karen D'Souza, said it is unacceptable for the country's elected leaders to believe that there would not be an oil spill offshore. As such, she urged the nation must not sit and wait for such an event to take place before it takes steps to put protections in place. And just before we head to a short break, let's tell you that a 69-year-old woman identified as Kesundia Suratan died Tuesday evening after she was hit down by a minibus while crossing the Rupert Craig Highway, east coast of Demerara. The dead woman was a resident of Lebon Intention and was reportedly heading home when she met her demise. According to police, the minibus struck her down around 18 hours 20 in the vicinity of Movietown. The bus was being driven at the time by a 39-year-old man, and it is alleged that he was driving east along the northern drive lane of the highway when Suratan allegedly ran across the road. The man alleged that he could not slow down in time and he ended up crashing into her. The bus driver is presently in custody, assisting with the necessary investigations. You're listening to Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM. This is the news at noon. We'll return after the break.
It seems like children have been home from school forever, and you've done baking, drawing, schoolwork, and played Ring of Roses about 100 times. We've all been under some strain lately, but let us embrace our children. They're under strain too. Let's show them more love, patience, and care. Let's help to build their resilience in these trying times. Not just today or tomorrow, but for the future. Their future. A message from the Child Care and Protection Agency, Ministry of Human Services and Social Security, and UNICEF.
Attention all kite flyers in the Ogle Plaisance area. Strictly no kite flying near and around the Eugene F. Correa International Airport. It is very dangerous for aircraft taking off and landing. Kite flyers will be removed by airport security and charged for disobeying these instructions by order of management.
Welcome back. The International Court of Justice this morning dismissed Venezuela's preliminary objection in the Guyana-Venezuelan border controversy case. Venezuela had objected to Guyana's case on the ground that the United Kingdom is an indispensable third party to consider Guyana's case, that the 1899 arbitral award is a full settlement between Guyana. In delivering the ruling, President of the court, Joan Donog, said that the court made a majority decision in favor of Guyana. President Donog disclosed that out of the panel of 15 judges that adjudicated the matter, 14 ruled in favor of Guyana, while one ruled against. Venezuela had sought to have the case thrown out on the basis of its objection. As a result of this morning's ruling, the court will now be able to move forward with hearing Guyana's application on the validity of the 1899 arbitral award, settling the boundaries between the two countries. And the Balwant Singh Hospital is being sued for allegedly removing the cervix and uterus of a patient who did not consent to have her reproductive organs removed. In court papers drafted by attorney Sanjeev Dattadin, the patient, Wander Kalman Hall, accused the hospital of causing her to suffer physical and emotional damage. She is suing for an excess of $6.6 million worth in damages. Kalman Hall said she visited a private hospital after she started to encounter health issues. She claimed that she was advised by Dr. Madhu Singh, a gynecologist who is also CEO of Balwant Singh, that she had fibroids and an umbilical hernia. Kalman Hall said that the hospital charged her $650,000 to perform two operations, one to remove her womb and the other to remove the hernia. She said that she agreed to pay the sum but was adamant that she did not want her ovaries and cervix to be removed. She claimed to have expressly informed Dr. Singh of her decision. In other news, the Caribbean Development Bank will finance consultancy services for a study to explore options for establishing a maritime cargo service between Barbados, Grenada, Guyana, and Trinidad and Tobago, primarily for the movement of agricultural products. The initiative is part of the CDB's pledge to improve food security within the Caribbean and to promote regional cooperation. It also demonstrates the bank's support for the imperative announced last year by the CARICOM heads of government to achieve a 25% reduction in the region's food import bill by 2025, CDB said in a press release on Wednesday. The heads identified lack of adequate regional transportation as a major obstacle to the movement of agricultural products within region and major contributor to food insecurity. In other news, Kaieteur News publisher Glenn Lal has asked the High Court to make the final decision in at least 5 remaining libel suits former CEO of NISIL, Winston Brassington, had filed against the newspaper. Brassington has sued Kaieteur News 19 times for defamatory remarks that the newspaper published against him in the satirical Dem Boys column. The former CEO had won several cases before the court in which he secured judgment awards amounting to over $40 million. Kaieteur News has since asked the court to consolidate the remaining matters and make a final determination in the case. And police are investigating a chopping incident that took place yesterday at number 55 Village, Quarantine Berbice. Injured and hospitalized in a critical state at the New Amsterdam Hospital is Sandy Prasad, age 34, of number 55 Village. Reports are that Sasarina Sankar, a barber, attacked Prasad with a sharp weapon and dealt several chops about her body, leaving her with life-threatening injuries. Regional Commander Shiv Prasad Bacchus said that police are currently searching for the suspect, who has since gone into hiding. And that does it for your news at noon. But before we go, we must be a little blunt by turning the pages of today's Kaieteur News to page 7. ExxonMobil's $7.3 billion audit report. When governments make promises, they must keep them. When leaders make commitments, they must honor them. This is what clean governance is about. This is what ethical leadership represents. Too many delays mean that defaulting government must go. Too many dodges force men of principle to leave. Guyanese, don't hold your breath. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums, reaching hundreds of thousands. Advertise today and watch your dollar grow. Call us on 225-8465 or 227